Stephanie Hartford sat in the corner booth of the cafe, watching the door with diminishing hope. At 37, she'd convinced herself that maybe marriage and family simply weren't in her cards. She'd built a successful career as a financial consultant, traveled to 15 countries, and created a life that looked perfect on paper but felt hollow in practice. Her friends had stopped setting her up on dates after the last 3 disasters, but somehow her colleague Mark had convinced her to try one more time. He's a great guy, Mark had promised. Single dad, runs his own architecture firm. His wife passed away 2 years ago. He's ready to try again. So Stephanie had agreed, arrived 15 minutes early wearing her favorite beige sweater, and ordered coffee she was now nursing as it grew cold. 30 minutes past their scheduled meeting time, she had to accept the truth. She'd been stood up. Again. She was pulling out her phone to text Mark something politely scathing when the cafe door opened. 2 identical little girls burst through, wearing matching purple dresses and radiating excitement. They couldn't have been more than 5 years old, with light blonde hair that caught the late afternoon sun streaming through the windows. Behind them, looking harried and apologetic, came a man in his early 40s. He was handsome in an understated way, with kind eyes that looked exhausted, and he was clearly trying to corral the energetic twins who seemed determined to explore every corner of the cafe. "Maddie, Ava, please slow down," he called, his voice carrying that particular tone of parental exasperation mixed with affection. The girls ignored him completely, their attention caught by something near Stephanie's booth. They approached with the fearless curiosity only young children possess, stopping directly in front of her table. "Are you our new mommy?" one of them asked with devastating directness. Stephanie felt her heart stop. "I'm sorry, what?" "Daddy said he was meeting a nice lady today," the other twin explained matter-of-factly. "We've been waiting for a new mommy. Are you her?" The man reached them, his face flushed with embarrassment. "Girls, no. We talked about this. I said I was meeting someone for coffee, not that she was going to be your new mother." He looked at Stephanie with genuine mortification. "I am so sorry. I'm looking for someone named Stephanie. I'm running late because my babysitter canceled at the last minute and I had to bring them with me." Stephanie felt something shift in her chest. "I'm Stephanie." His expression transformed from embarrassment to relief, to cautious hope. "You are?" "I'm Owen Patterson, Mark's friend from the architecture firm. I'm so sorry I'm late. And I completely understand if you want to leave right now, given how this introduction started." "Are you?" one of the twins asked Stephanie insistently. "Are you our new mommy?" "Maddie, that's not how this works," Owen said gently, crouching down to his daughter's level. "Remember what we talked about? Daddy is just meeting a new friend. That's all." "But we need a mommy," the other twin, Ava, said with heartbreaking sincerity. "Everyone at school has one. We only have Daddy, and he gets tired a lot." Owen's face crumpled for just a moment before he composed himself. Stephanie saw years of struggle in that expression. The weight of single parenthood and grief and trying to be enough for 2 little girls who'd lost their mother. "Please, sit down," Stephanie heard herself say. "All of you. I've been here alone for half an hour. I could use the company." Owen looked at her with surprise and gratitude. "Are you sure? This is not how first dates are supposed to go." "I'm beginning to think nothing in life goes how it's supposed to," Stephanie said, smiling at the twins who were studying her with intense scrutiny. "Besides, your daughters asked me a very important question. The least I can do is stay long enough to give them a proper answer." They settled into the booth, the twins squeezing in beside Stephanie as if they'd known her forever. Owen sat across from them, looking like a man who couldn't quite believe his children hadn't just destroyed his chances completely. "So," Stephanie said, addressing the girls with the seriousness their question deserved, "I'm not your new mommy. I just met your daddy 5 minutes ago, but I'd very much like to be your friend, if that's okay with you." "What's your name?" Maddie asked. "Stephanie." "What are yours?" "I'm Maddie and she's Ava," Maddie announced. "We're identical twins, but I'm 3 minutes older, so I'm in charge." "You are not," Ava protested. "Daddy says we're both in charge together." "Daddy says a lot of things when he's trying to stop us from arguing," Maddie countered. Owen rubbed his temples. "This is my life. Constant negotiation between two 5-year-olds who are smarter than I am. Stephanie found herself laughing genuinely for the first time in weeks. They seem pretty brilliant to me. Tell me about yourself, Owen said, seizing a moment when both girls were momentarily distracted by the tulips in the vase on the table. And I promise I'll do the same, though I should warn you that my life is basically chaos held together by coffee and determination. So Stephanie told him about her career, her travels, her carefully constructed life that looked successful but felt empty. Owen listened with the kind of attention she'd forgotten men were capable of giving, occasionally redirecting his daughters with practiced ease when they tried to climb under the table or steal sugar packets. "Your turn," Stephanie said when she'd finished. Owen's story came out slowly, painfully. His wife Jennifer had died suddenly from an undiagnosed heart condition when the twins were 3 years old. He'd been trying to balance single parenthood with running his architecture firm ever since, constantly feeling like he was failing at both. His parents lived across the country, Jennifer's parents had retreated into their own grief, and most days he felt completely alone in trying to raise two remarkable, energetic, heartbreaking reminders of the woman he'd lost. "Mark's been trying to get me to start dating for a year," Owen admitted. I kept refusing. But the girls keep asking about why they don't have a mother like their friends do, and I realized I can't let grief make me selfish. They deserve a complete family even if it's not the one we started with. "What do you want?" Stephanie asked gently. "Not what the girls need or what you think you should want. What do you actually want?" Owen looked at her with surprise, as if no one had asked him that question in years. "I want to not feel so alone. I want someone to share the daily chaos with, someone who gets that parenthood is messy and exhausting and also the most important thing I've ever done. I want my daughters to have a mother figure who'll love them, but I also want to find someone I can actually talk to at the end of a long day. Is that too much to ask?" "It sounds pretty reasonable to me," Stephanie said. "Do you like kids?" Ava asked suddenly, climbing into Stephanie's lap without invitation. "Because if you're going to be our friend, you have to like kids. Specifically us." Stephanie wrapped her arms around this small person who'd decided she belonged there, feeling something unlock in her chest. "I've never spent much time around children. I always thought maybe I wasn't meant to be a mother. But sitting here with you and your sister, I'm thinking maybe I just hadn't met the right kids yet." Maddie climbed up on Stephanie's other side, apparently not wanting to be left out. "We're very good kids, mostly. Sometimes we fight and Daddy gets that tired look. But we always say sorry after." "Always," Ava confirmed solemnly. Owen watched this scene unfold with an expression Stephanie couldn't quite read. "I should probably warn you that if you spend more time with us, this is what it looks like. Twins who have no sense of personal space, impromptu negotiations about everything from vegetables to bedtime, constant noise and mess and chaos. It's not glamorous or romantic or anything like the dating you probably imagined." "I've done glamorous dating," Stephanie said, thinking of the polished, empty men she'd met over the years. It was boring. "This is real. I like real." They stayed at the cafe for 2 more hours. The staff, charmed by the twins, brought coloring sheets and crayons. Stephanie and Owen talked while Maddie and Ava drew elaborate pictures they insisted were portraits of their new family. The conversation flowed easily, interrupted by children's questions and minor crises that Owen handled with practiced patience. "You're good at this," Stephanie observed, watching him wipe spilled juice and settle a dispute about crayon colors in the same smooth motion. "I've had a lot of practice. Doesn't mean I'm not exhausted most of the time." Owen met her eyes directly. "I need to be honest with you. Dating me means dating all 3 of us. I can't do casual. I don't have the time or energy for something that's not going somewhere. If that's not what you want, I completely understand, and I won't blame you for walking away right now." Stephanie looked at this man who carried the weight of single parenthood with grace, at these 2 little girls who'd asked if she was their new mommy with such desperate hope, and felt something she'd stopped believing in. Possibility. "What if I don't want to walk away?" she said quietly. "What if this completely chaotic, unplanned afternoon is the most real connection I've felt in years? What if your daughters asking me that question made me realize I've been avoiding exactly this because I was afraid I wouldn't be good enough?" "Good enough for what?" For this, for them, for being someone's mother. Stephanie's eyes filled with tears. I spent so many years building a career and traveling and dating the wrong men, telling myself I was too independent for family life. But sitting here with your girls in my lap, I'm realizing maybe I just needed to find the right family. The twins looked up from their drawings, sensing the emotional weight of the moment. Does that mean you'll be our mommy? Maddie asked with devastating hope. It means I'd like to get to know you and your sister and your daddy better, Stephanie said carefully. It means I'd like to spend time with all of you, learn what makes you happy, be part of your life. Is that okay? Both girls nodded enthusiastically, then returned to their drawings as if this profound moment was already settled and they could move on to more important matters like whether the sky should be blue or purple. Owen reached across the table and took Stephanie's hand. Thank you for staying. Thank you for not running when my daughters essentially proposed on my behalf. Thank you for seeing past the chaos to whatever possibility might exist here. Thank you for being late, Stephanie said, squeezing his hand. If you'd been on time, I might have had my walls up. Instead, your daughters dismantled them in about 30 seconds with pure honesty. They exchanged numbers, made plans for a proper date where Owen would actually arrange childcare, and talked about taking the girls to the park the following weekend. When they finally left the cafe, Maddie and Ava each took one of Stephanie's hands, walking between her and their father like they'd been doing it forever. This is what we look like, Ava announced proudly. Like a real family. We are a real family, Owen corrected gently. But maybe we're becoming a bigger one. Over the following months, Stephanie learned what it meant to love not just a man, but his whole life. She attended dance recitals and parent-teacher conferences. She learned to braid hair and negotiate vegetable consumption. She discovered that love isn't diminished by being shared but multiplied. That having space for two little girls in her heart somehow made it bigger. Owen learned to trust again, to let someone help carry the weight he'd been bearing alone. Stephanie proved day after day that she wasn't intimidated by his daughters but enriched by them, that she chose all three of them not despite the complexity but because of it. A year after that first chaotic meeting, Owen proposed properly this time with his daughter's enthusiastic participation. They presented Stephanie with a ring and a hand-drawn card that said, "Will you be our mommy for real now?" Stephanie cried and said yes, kneeling down to embrace both girls. I already am, she whispered. I became your mommy the day you asked if I was, and I decided to stay and find out. The wedding was small and filled with joy. Maddie and Ava served as flower girls, wearing matching purple dresses and carrying bouquets they'd helped choose. During the ceremony, Stephanie made vows not just to Owen but to his daughters, promising to love them, guide them, and be the mother they'd been waiting for. You weren't what I was looking for, Owen said in his vows. You were what I needed. You showed up for a blind date, and my daughters basically proposed on my behalf, and instead of running, you stayed. You chose us. You chose the chaos and the mess and the beautiful complication of loving all three of us. I showed up expecting nothing, Stephanie responded. And two little girls asked me the most important question I've ever been asked. Are you our new mommy? It took me a while to understand the answer, but here it is. Yes, I am. I was from the moment they asked. I just needed time to be brave enough to accept it. Sometimes love arrives in the form of a question we weren't expecting. Sometimes twin girls in purple dresses ask if you're their new mommy before you've even met their father, and something in their hope and honesty cracks open a heart that had been closed. And sometimes, when we stop running from what we think we should want and embrace what's actually in front of us, we discover that family isn't found in perfection, but in the brave choice to love each other's beautiful, complicated reality. The blind date was empty until twin girls walked in and asked the question that changed everything. And in asking it, they gave Stephanie permission to want something she'd been afraid to admit she needed. Not just a partner, but a family. Not just romantic love, but the all-consuming, exhausting, perfect love of being someone's mother. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below about a question that changed your life's direction. Your stories inspire us all,